Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello, welcome to week 4, lecture 3. So, in the last lecture we have talked about age friendly cities, and where we were talking about intergenerational spaces, intergenerational interaction, transgenerational spaces. So, now this lecture will focus on child friendly cities, and we will see that there are many overlaps between the requirement of the elderly as well as children. So, that is and easier for us to create these intergenerational interactive spaces. So, we will be discussing the various concepts, theories and good practices of child friendly cities, and then just try to compare it with the old the age friendly cities. So, the child friendly city, now it is a, if you see the basic requirement or the definition, in which children can grow up in a pleasant, responsible, safe and dynamic manner via improvement in physical and social improvement in which the children grow up. So, it is a two-way process. So, we define the environment in which children grow up, and they also create the environment in future. So, child friendly cities UNICEF 2018, this is the handbook we have, and with all the checklist, it is a checklist kind of thing, or the we start with the vision or the philosophy, and this is it. Now, a child friendly city is a city, town, community or any system of local governance committed to fulfilling the child rights as articulated in the Convention on the Right, or the CRC, that is we call Convention of the Right of the Child. So, that means a place where a child is safe, where can perform the basic activities that he or she is supposed to, like he or she is supposed to go to a school, need to have a healthy childhood, should not be working at the below a certain age. I mean, we know that we have this this labor rules and all. They can be heard, they can express their opinions, they can live freely in a clean and not polluted environment. They can play, they can go to school, they can do various things so that which is good for their physical as well as mental development. They can interact, they can meet their friends, they can play with their friends, they can make new friends. So, with something which will let them grow, something which will let them develop themselves. So, now these are the 5 goals of the child friendly city, that is the at the subnational and the local governance programming framework which support it. Now, it is applied in both rural and urban areas, but we will be mainly talking about the urban areas for this purpose. They are the CFCI, or the Child Friendly City Initiative, and they can the engagement of the local government and the stakeholders to implement the United Nations Conventions on rights of the children, and also the how do we measure these outcomes. Now, if we see at the visionary level, there are 5 visions, that is the right to be valued, respected and treated fairly, listen to them, right to be heard, the right to social service, they should feel responsible, they should grow up as a responsible citizen. So, make them a part of the social service. I mean, in many places, in many societies or many schools, they encourage they go to their go to the destitute home or the old age home, and they work for them, because that becomes that kind of develops themselves as a socially responsible human being. Right to be safe without any kind of abuse at domestic as well as at the community level, and the right to family, life, play and leisure, so that for their whole, which is important for their holistic development. So, this is the also the what is called the local child right situation analysis. So, now there are many things like which kind of frames the helps in framing the guidelines or the checklist. So, this is for your knowledge, and we will move on to the next slide because not much to discuss architecturally here. Here also, like the what is said, the global minimum criteria for the child friendly CFCI or the child friendly city initiatives. So, which is rooted in the child rights and communities result oriented approach, that whatever a particular local government is doing or whatever the steps the city is taking, what I mean how it is aligned to the overall UNICEF strategies and all, and how the children participation is being encouraged, how the anti-discriminatory rules are in play. So, some global initiatives on child friendly cities, like South Korea, they have got a school zone improvement project. Like now these many of these school zones have lot of traffic, particularly when the children are being dropped and picked up. So, the traffic safety measures there, the particularly how the children will be who are coming alone, who are coming in their bicycle, how they are crossing, how their safety is ensured. Next is Indonesia, where I mean they have integrated the child rights into development by building multi-purpose parks like that could support the play community interaction. And so that means a group of parks are being placed in the city, which can be safely used by the children. Then the New York City, it is the compass to the free after school program in schools and parks, where to fill in the educational gaps and supporting families, because sometimes they actually need to work, and it is some kind of giving them a safe environment for working. United Kingdom, through edible playgrounds, they are taught the importance of growing their food, to manage the water. They get into the get an exposure to the sustainability practices of sustainability. Then Sri Lanka, the school nutrition program. So, to improve, therefore, this is for their basic the personal development, that is they eat healthy and they stay healthy and they adopt the various healthy lifestyle. And the Brazil, that is the Happy Child program, in which this is the what we just mentioned, that is the home visit to support early childhood development in families below the poverty line, because this is for in case there is a domestic abuse or child abuse or something at a domestic level. So, these are some social evil which can be taken care of this way. So, this Compass program, after school activities, this is some play facilities in Jakarta. The school improvement as we can say, the lanes and all are very well demarcated. This edible playground in UK, where they are learning to grow their own food. Now, so this is a Dutch child friendly city initiative, where they are getting this awareness and engagement, partnership and action. That is, they work close with the selected municipalities to implement the full CFC program. That is, they are actually involved in real life projects, where they kind of learn the life skill. They are involved in situation analysis, and they are consulted while doing this child focused action planning implementation. We have a very interesting Indian example also, which has adopted this principle of involving children in community building and creating child friendly cities. So, this is the centering this one, where the child centered governance, strengthening that. This is what we talked about, the right to be heard and consulting them for, I mean, when you consult what the children, you will exactly get to know that what are their expectations, which might be totally different from what a planner or what an architect might have conceptualized. So hearing from them. giving them recognition and support at various stages. So, now there will be a right based approach and an environment based approach. So, right based approach will focus on listening to them, hearing to them, and the environment based approach, that is what the architects and planners, we are more involved in, that is focusing on children's interaction with their physical and the social environment. So, this is the right based approach, in which it is rooted in International Child Right Convention, but so this is more the what I would say, the social aspects. But if we see that is the environment based approach, which talks about the environmental issues, in particular the design aspects in particular, that is the safety, the green spaces, the accessibility and all these issues. So, now an example from India, that Bhubaneswar, how Bhubaneswar has made a child friendly city. It has got a child friendly smart city center to prioritize children's need in urban planning. Design various safe and inclusive public spaces, including parks, playgrounds, school zones, zebra crossing. They have got a project called the Complete Street Design, that is ensures walkability, child safety and accessibility. Encouraging mixed land use, that is so that within a shorter walkable distance from home, they can get all the facilities. Now, if we just recollect and go back to what Clarence Stein and Clarence Perry, what they have talked about, particularly what Clarence Perry had talked about neighborhood design in the concept of an ideal neighborhood way back in 1929. What did Clarence Perry say? Clarence Perry said that in an ideal neighborhood, what should be at the center of the neighborhood? A school. A school should be at the center of the neighborhood. And he also defined the maximum distance or the maximum radius, that is the maximum distance a child would need to walk from the home to the school. So, I mean, so maybe we sometimes, when we are creating our modern neighborhoods, we are forgetting those age old definition of neighborhood, which also talked about that an ideal neighborhood is one in which a mother should be not worried that when her child goes from school to home, should not require to cross a busy street. So, these are certain concepts maybe we need to revisit and modernize, and or rather contemporize, I would not say modernize, contemporize them into our current neighborhood planning. So, that is like mixed land use for shorter distance between home, school and play area. Improvement in environmental condition included child responsive housing policies. So, a clean home, a neat home, a home where he or she can develop himself. Some parks and other play zones in Bhubaneswar. Yes, now this is an example of a Neelamadhav Basti in Bhubaneswar. So, where now the children, they were invited to propose I would say a layout plan for their area, now for their zone or for their locality. So, what they did, they conducted case studies of other housing projects, and along with the inputs from the various the architects and urban planners who sat with them, they visualized that what they want. They gave stress upon depending upon their expectation of an ideal community. This kind of sketches came up, where they have given importance to greenery, they have importance to centrally located playgrounds, they have given importance to these small tot lots. So, what we can see here, that what we say, if you just go and open a Kevin Dean site planning book, you would see that there are open spaces of different size and dispersed in adequately located. So, what we see here, that they have also thought about this spaces of different scale. Maybe a small kid have thought of a tot lot which befits his or her size. An adolescent kid might have thought about a football playground. So when all the ideas from the different, I mean the children of different age have come together, automatically what has happened is that, spontaneously what has happened is that we have got a good mix of open spaces and recreational spaces which cater to children of all age groups. Yeah, this was again what they came up with, is called a problem tree. So they drew these branches and they wrote what they want, wrote their problems here, talked about their issues here. So adolescent boy and adolescent girl. So this is a very good example of community participation in urban planning, particularly for the children. So they talked about their problems. They talked about this, I mean this is translated, so I have referred to their report. So they talked about these various social issues which are faced by the adolescent. Now all these are there is a non-profit organization called Hamara Bachpan with whom we had interacted in one of our earlier projects under supported by the government, and we visited their place and they shared these reports with us, and it is available from their website also, Hamara Bachpan. If you are interested, you might you may refer that. So here, so this is yeah, how I was telling. So this is those issues which are being put forward by adolescent male and the adolescent female, which are, they have talked the issue, they have talked about the root causes, and they have talked about the impact also. Like one issue is the limited access to play and recreation. The issue, that is the root cause, and the issue is that not socializing, inefficient use of time, play on roads. And what is the impact? Being idle, not being social, no proper physical and cognitive health. So this is how it has been. I mean these one issue lead to the other. Say now another, if we can take that superstition and blind belief, that is a root cause. So which might lead, the issue is the prevalence of ill practices such as black magic causing female feticide, death due to not availing healthcare facilities. So all these, so these are the socio-physical issues with some root cause, something which is maybe the traditional belief, and not traditional belief, I would say the ill practices which have, probably certain ill practices which have stayed in the community, which are creating these issues and having a negative impact on the social on the overall development of children. So these have all been identified by adolescent male and female only. They they were also asked to prioritize on the social issues. So where they talked about the male and female, they talked about safety, security, gender discrimination, domestic violence, lack of positive environment, alcohol consumption. So these are the social issues which were brought forward by them. They also talked about prioritizing the infrastructural issues, that what do they give priority to? They gave priority to housing, electricity, community dustbin, water issues. So that's how, I mean, it was some kind of a feedback which came out from the community, and particularly from the children of the community. They also came up with a solution tree. I don't have the translation for this, but yes, and also they wrote to the local authorities and they approached to their local authorities. So next one, this is another document which you can refer. This is iChild by National Institute of Urban Affairs. So where they have got a typology for indicators for child friendly local development. Now here they have got 4 verticals. One is the built environment, second the services and the facilities, third safety and the mobility, and the fourth one, that is the ambient environment and disaster management. So the first one, that is the built environment. Under built environment included are housing, social and schools and open spaces. That means places where a child would primarily visit. The services, that is physical infrastructure, social infrastructure, which might include any other recreational spaces, and also the special facilities like auditorium, etc. Safety and the mobility, the personal safety at home and at community, traffic safety while crossing the roads or for riding bicycles, and also for mobility, that is while moving in the public transport. And ambient environment and disaster management, that is where the overall pollution, cleanliness, like if they want to use a public toilet, how clean it is. And also the disaster management, or particularly in the case of for evacuation in case of certain natural or man-made disaster, because they are vulnerable. We have been discussing this, that the evacuation, particularly in case of any disaster, is really challenging for vulnerable people. So how to take care of that for the children? So these are the child-friendly indicators under the built environment. Housing, which talks about the quality, that good ventilation, so that they do not develop any kind of asthma or respiratory disease right from their childhood. Crowding, that is the space for people, low stress, better behavior, which leads to low space and better behavior. Stability, because now if they are, fewer relocations. Now these are certain things which cannot be, controlled. There are many other factors, family factors, economic factors, but yes, the indicators have been identified which have a positive or negative impact on children, like fewer relocations, consistent schooling, and because tie with the peer and their because the friendship that you develop, it says in the childhood, many of them are last lifelong. So that's what it says here. The stability, the mental stability they get. The next is the density, that is the compactness, the connectivity of the layout, safe play access, and affordable proper serviced housing, so that their hygiene is taken care of. Schools, safe and permanent buildings located within walkable distance, we just discussed this, and inclusive play spaces and inclusive open spaces, which will encourage spontaneous interaction, unstructured play. It's not that they are being taken to some coaching camp for playing, but what they spontaneously do. Health and social infrastructure, these are similar, but now particularly for vaccination or for regular health checkup, the special facilities for children. Education is a very strong link with the better health and learning outcomes, and special need, like need for mental health services like counseling, early diagnosis, slow learning, things like slow learning in case they require some therapeutic spaces to reduce the stress, and bullying. So if they are avoiding going to school, what could be the reason? What should be so these should start at a very early age, this diagnosis, in case there are any kind of abuse is happening anywhere. So these diagnosis at an early age, and a therapy at a very early age is essential. Personal safety, traffic safety, and mobility. So personal safety, that is the safe built environment, immediate enclosure, immediate surrounding, like from safety from fire, safety from any kind of criminal activities. The traffic safety, that is speed limits, traffic calming measures, particularly the design of the school zones, or maybe the design of the access roads to the playgrounds or the child facilities. So special measures for road crossings and all, walkable neighborhoods. Now this one, the child friendly under the ambient environment, air, water, and noise. Air pollution weakens children's lung immunity and cognition. So this is very important, that regular monitoring of air quality is important, particularly near the school zones. Noise, because it has a very detrimental impact on memory, speech, and academic performance. Water pollution, this we talk about the child mortality. So the environment hygiene, maintaining the hygiene is important. Soil and built environment, because children will play with the clay, they will play with mud and dust. So but that has a negative impact. So if there are this so soil contamination to be avoided, particularly near school zones and where children are. Disaster preparedness, they are most affected in disaster. So it should be a informed disaster plan, that where they are getting, I mean, which are the vulnerable points, and which should be the escape route from where in case of any disaster children can be evacuated easily without any without any unwanted situation. So, some key initiatives from the various cities on the child friendly cities of our country. Bhubaneswar, like the first smart city. Now Bhubaneswar talks about social smartness. I mean, what we discussed here, that is the how to increase the social smartness quotient of a city, not just digitally how we become smart, but socially how the city can become smart. Pune, it has this traffic parks, redesigned open spaces, counseling rooms at railway stations. Udaipur has gone for traffic calming near schools, again parks and public spaces redesigned. Visakhapatnam has got various vehicle free zones. They have restored the open spaces, child friendly police station. That's very, very interesting, because in case of abuse or in case of something which is happening to them, probably they might reach out to an elderly person at home or to another someone who they can discuss with, but if they want to go to the police station, there are chances that they might not be heard. There are chances where they might be not considered seriously. So that attitude, the child friendly police stations, like in not child friendly really, not related to exactly this, but in Delhi we have got this pink booths for women, or again like also in public places need to have this child help desk. Say in case of a child is lost in a public place, can go and ask for help, can go and wait there. Bangalore, redeveloped parks, lactation pods, smart school system. Rourkela, redeveloped parks. So mainly we see that there is a lot of focus which are given on the play areas and the open spaces, because we are overall realizing the increasing importance of greeneries and outdoor open spaces for holistic development of child. Jabalpur, again this redeveloped pods and this smart schooling system. Warangal, Anganwaris, redesigned street junctions, improved parks, and Kakinada has a stress on Anganwaris and street junctions. So this one, a citizen-led shift towards inclusive streets. It's in Gurugram, started in 2013, where it is a community-owned initiative, where I mean it has spread to many other cities, uniting the citizens, uniting the residents, the various agencies and the local groups in which they interact, they exchange their ideas to support the wider goals of gender equity, health and sanitation. So what we see that transgenerational cities, when we call, I mean we need to avoid segregation and seclusion at any cost. So it is important, that's why, to create spaces, particularly public spaces, which will have a mix of activities. Maybe a combination of active space for children and a passive space for where elderly people can sit and watch the children. Creating family spaces, so which helps not only this intergenerational interaction, but also strengthens domestic as well as social ties, which is very important for a healthy society and healthy and inclusive society. So some references. Thank you.